Sam, bit of an about face on the skipper compared to this time last week. How is he?
Yeah, he's a bit frustrated. He pulled up much worse out of the game. So, at no point through, we have management of lots of different players, of course, across the season, of course, and at no point has he ever been a chance to not play. So that was my frustration last week. Didn't age too well. Obviously, he got a big flare up out of the game, and he'll miss a couple of weeks at least now.
So the suggestion of pulling the wool and a bit of dishonesty in that old school, he's over the line, ready to play, is wrong?
That's completely wrong. So at no point have we even considered not playing him. It hasn't even been close to. There's injuries where is he going to get to the line and is he going to be able to make it and play this week? He's never been in that category. He's definitely been playing every game. So, obviously it doesn't age well when it comes out like that. But he got something that we didn't expect. It's been tracking, getting slightly better each week. His numbers on the screening process get slightly better each week, and then this week had a big regression. So need to get him right.
And just the final one from me on that: is the hope that 2 weeks off just can get a bit of power back, or is it pain around that groin hip area?
No, it's not. It's not groin. It's more like up at higher spot. So it's one of those things that's a little bit unpredictable. You don't see them that often. We have had one recently, a couple of years ago, which settled down in a couple of weeks, but they can take a little bit longer. But we're hopeful that the 2 weeks will be a maximum, and even he probably would play the third. We hope at this stage, but it is bye then. So then we think on the other side of the bye, hopefully we get him back, and he's got a bit of training. So one of the downsides of the injury he's had, he hasn't been able to train a lot, and while not playing has never been a risk, his actual training consistency hasn't been there, and obviously that makes it a little bit tougher to perform on the weekend. But he's such a, proud sort of guy, always trying to train, always trying to do a bit more, and having a forced rest, we think will be the best thing for him.
So this next block, is it an even more decrease in his load at the moment?
Right now it will be, yeah. So I just had a chat with him upstairs. He's in that really frustrating early part of a rehab where you're not doing very much at all and just letting things settle, letting things rest, and he'll build up over as it works. He'll let the medical team handle that.
How big a hole is that then for this couple of weeks? How big a hole to fill?
I mean, he's obviously a vital and really important player for us, but I've been pretty pleased with. I think Josh and Tom coming in has given us a bit of extra flexibility. I think if this was this time last year, we would have struggled to compete without him. But now I think we're probably a little bit more well equipped. So we've obviously moved him around a little bit as well, moved him into the front half at different stages like we did last week. So I think the back line is used to functioning without him there.
What did you make of Matthew Lloyd saying that Josh and Tom coming into the team has upset the defensive balance?
Yeah, I think his comment was that it actually hurt our offense to be able to move the ball, and I think statistically that's we got some stuff that we're working really hard on, and on the strategic path that we're on, we know we've got some things that we need to work on at every phase, and one of the things that we need to work on is being able to move the ball from the back half, and that part of our game is actually going okay. But I'm pretty pleased with how they're both going, and our back half in general got scored against really easily last week, but probably more so off the back of just not putting enough pressure on up the ground.
Without Kelsher and Mitch Lewis in there, is your forward line potent enough at the moment? Or if you ain't got the socks, you can't pull them up. Do you need one of those two guys in there to be back where you were last year?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go back where we were last year. You need to think about moving forward. So I think we're trying to find ways to score, in different avenues, and we've played mostly with smalls this year. And you mentioned, so Mitch Lewis is getting a bit closer. Kelsher's trying to find a bit of form. We also have Max Ramsden, who's playing really good footy at Box Hill. So I think what happens is the Box Hill team is going really well, top of the ladder. Or close to the top of the ladder now, actually, after a loss last week, but really playing some good footy. And when the AFL team is not playing quite as well, that's when opportunities start to come up and we start to look for different avenues to goal. And so there's a chance that something like that happens this week.
What do you make of the Bulldogs as a test?
Yeah, I mean, the Bulldogs are in great form. They're obviously they're the most potent sort of offensive team in the competition, and their stoppage dominance has been really clear. I think in all their good performances, that's been absolutely A grade. They've got doing a couple of unique things with the way they're playing, and Bevo's obviously a talented coach, so he's got them humming along really nicely and going to be a huge challenge. But really looking forward to it. They're a good side for us to play. We've got the short break. They're coming off the bye, so I feel like we've got a bit of obviously playing for a lot in a game after a run of weeks that we know we need to improve on.
Do you put time into Marcus Bontempelli?
Yeah, Marcus Bontempelli certainly on our what ifs board. But I mean, Ed Richards, I saw some stats this week saying that Ed Richards is the most potent player in the competition at the moment, and Bailey Dale's coming off he had 50 possessions or near enough a couple of weeks ago. So can't forget Libber, and Norton's not a bad sort of potent player. So I mean, they've got threats everywhere, and all the good teams do. And there's a part of us that thinks about going after that. But then there's another aspect of us that we need to get ourselves into some form. We need to get some confidence in how we're playing, and balancing those two things will be really important. And obviously the Bulldogs have got some serious threats. Bontempelli's arguably the best player in the competition. So that's a threat that we know we need to be ready for. Do we do that from the start of the game? Probably not at this stage.
You mentioned the bye versus your short break. What sort of effect do you expect that to have?
Well, an uncontrollable one, so there's nothing we can do about that. It's just the nature of the game, and the upside for us is we've been playing, we've got continuity, we've got consistency, and the upside for them is they've had a bit more of a physical and mental refresh. So I think some teams do it well off the bye and other teams don't. Hope they're in the other category. But we have no control over that. We can control us. We've had a really good training week. We trained really well yesterday. Burgee decided we'll keep the boys inside today, which we do for captain's run every now and then. So we're staying inside today off the back of a good training week. So we feel like we're really well prepared for this game, and time will tell. I think we're a club who's we're proud of what we're trying to achieve, and we know the strategic plan that we want, but the talk's not going to do it. We need to actually produce action on Thursday night, and hopefully we'll see a big crowd out at Marvel and put on a good show.
Do you prepare any differently for playing under the roof? Not something you do a heck of a lot.
Yeah, we played about a month ago at Marvel, so we obviously know that the conditions will be what they are. So we know we've played the ground reasonably well. Obviously, they've got a great record there as well. So no, I mean, it's not too dissimilar to the MCG really. We're looking forward to it.
What's the most important thing in the Hawks game tomorrow night to get right?
Oh, I just think it's pressure. I mean, it's obvious you guys, and rightly so, have talked about it a lot. We can't get away with tackles in the 30s and the opposition having tackles in the 70s or the 80s. That's not going to stand up in the long term. So, I mean, I don't think we have to win the tackle count. If you looked at the winning team, the winning tackle count often is not the winning team, but you can't get beaten by the way we have been. So, enabling the players to be able to put pressure on the opposition, and that's going to be the most important thing for us. And if we can do that, we think it gives us our best chance.
We'll just take one more, guys.
Have you changed your messaging at all this week, coming off that loss, or are you staying consistent?
I mean, we change everything every week in one sense, but always coming back to the same thing. So you sort of have guiding principles for the way that we want to play, the strategic plan that we have, for the direction we want to go, and every week there's an ebb and a flow. I'd like a bit more flow in our game and a little bit less ebb at the moment, but the players have a good understanding of where we're at and why. And then it's, can we produce performances that are closer to our best? I think, we talk about, physical toughness, but also mental toughness, and being able to play close to the top of your range of your talents and abilities, regardless of the competitive circumstance. That's sort of how we talk about mental toughness, and being able to play close to our range of abilities. If we can do that on a consistent basis, more than we have recently, that's going to give us the best chance to have success.